So it seems like GSP has really, concreted that nickname. We saw JSP last week in Jonathan Pierce. Now we got another one in OSP this week fighting. Very excited about this one. He's taking on Jamahal Hill. I know you got something to say about that.
Oh, one. Baby. When I saw that name, I thought some Indian restaurateur was about to make his UFC, appearance. And I'm like, I can't wait for this fight because I hope that Jamahal Hill, who's probably half white or half black Indian, is probably going to smash. No, I saw his last fight. I was very aware. But I'm going to keep calling him Jamahal for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. Give me two scoops of that butter chicken, please.
Yeah, and if the naan isn't done in the tandoor, then I don't want the naan.
So, OSP is the vet in this one. He comes in having a very up and down career. Mm-hmm. He's the most unpredictable man in the UFC. You never have any idea which OSP you're going to get. Mm-hmm. He seems to beat the best of them and then struggle against fights that he should be winning. So It's going to be very curious to see which OSP shows up this week. He does have a lot of credible fights under his belt. A few tough losses against Dominic Reyes and our boy Rothwell there, which I believe we took Rothwell in that one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does in this co-main event. Jamahal Hill is another nice prospect. Coming in at 8-0, he did win the Dana White Contender Series and then has gone 2-0 in the UFC since. He has a lot of promise here, a lot of power behind his punches. So I'm very curious to see where this one lands. Give us some insight on this one.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you said it best about Ovince St, right? Like as much as I like the guy, it's just tough to see him struggle in the way that he does. He's the kind of guy that's shared the octagon with the John Jones. He's experienced that fight. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me as a fighter, to just share the octagon with the John Jones is a great experience because that's going to tell you what it looks like to maybe be feared, what it looks like to maybe be completely on your mental game when it comes to being inside the octagon. Outside the octagon, different story altogether, but we know all of his brain power is going into one place. And so, the thing about Ovince St is that's kind of, I wonder where he lies in that whole mental game aspect, right? The king of the Vlon flu choke. We see him sinking on so many different guys, but at the same time, why did we bet on Big Ben Rothwell? He's the dog. You've heard my explanation of Big Ben Rothwell, and that fight played out in our favor pretty well. Obviously, he's been kind of going up and down with light heavyweight and heavyweight, and in this fight, I like that he has a bit of the kind of power that's coming back to him now. But again, we're looking at a guy like Jamahal Hill who, I think over the last little bit, he's proven himself. But the one thing I wanted to point out about him, and this is a huge red flag for me, when you look at Jamahal Hill's first UFC fight, the guy was taken down 6 times. Now, you came away with a decision win, but to be taken down 6 times and come away with the win tells me that you fought someone who was either really good at taking you down or you're really bad at getting or defending a takedown, but you were able to get right back to your feet. 2 things about that scared me. 1, I don't know if it's going to be as easy for you to get up when Ovince St is on top of you, for example. That's something that we just can't predict. And then on top of that, it's we've got a guy who's fought many different people in many different ways. Unfortunately, guys like Contender Series fighters or UFC debut fighters, this guy's getting a huge bump in talent when you think about this being his 3rd UFC fight, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where I think if Ovince St is a bit of the smarter fighter here, chooses to play into his wrestling a bit, work in the takedowns, he's not huge on combos, right? So he's going to look for power punches, but as long as your strikes are setting up those takedowns and trying to get you into opportune positions against the fence or on the ground where you can kind of utilize all of your power, not just the fists, but the body, the core, I just think he has potential here to really be a heavyweight against what looks to be very much a true light heavyweight, maybe even middleweight looking fighter,
Yeah, and so he's really going to have to use that weight and power and tire down Jamahal Hill. And dare we say more black-on-black crime here?
Well, it's crazy, right? Because I keep thinking that, but at the same time, it's maybe we just have a huge influx of black fighters coming to UFC, right? Because a lot of these guys just seem to be lining up to fight each other in terms of where the UFC is trying to break these things down. At the same time, there's a conspiracy theorist in me that wants to say, hold up, wait a minute.
And so in terms of odds here, who do you see coming in as the favorite? Where do you see that number lying?
Yeah, and it's very interesting because in this fight, unfortunately, the way we just described Ovince St. Preux and his unpredictability, he just came off a knockout, but it's crazy that I still have to put him as a dog here. And not a big dog, but like a plus 110, a plus 120, max a plus 130, just because of some of the things we've seen from him recently. I do still like him, to be able to utilize a game plan to get the win, but all of that stuff aside, analyzing, where Vegas would see this, where the lines have gone over the last couple fights, I just think Hill can be a good, minus 130, minus 140 type favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had my imaginary bell, I'd be ringing it again because, you're right on the money with this one. In fact, that's currently where the line stands. Jamahal Hill did open at around a minus 200 initially, but it is dropping. Last I checked, It was minus 170. Yeah, so it's now minus 170.
Honestly,
OSP comes in around plus 140.
That's just so much disrespect, man. Like, think about that, Pies. Like, St. Preux, I get it. If there's anyone that's proven the point as to why that line should be minus 200, it might be me. But at the same time, I just think that you're overlooking some of the things he can do well. I get that Hill's proven himself in the ranks that he's been in. But to put Preux at that high of a dog in a fight where, technically speaking, after even some of the things we've seen from against Menafield, he should have a very good chance here.
And he's had a lot of experience, man. I think that experience is going to come into play for the big stage for someone like Jamal. This is one of his biggest fights, if not the biggest fight of his career in a co-main event. Yeah. And OSP's experience might really come into play here, and especially at those odds.
Yeah, Pies. I'm very shocked by that one. And it's not like I would have jumped at St. Preux as, say, like a big dog or anything. It's just like that, to me, just really kind of sums up, maybe not recency bias, but what a fighter can do based on, not even fighting each other, but how good this guy has looked against the last two fights we saw, despite the 6 takedowns. And then we've got Ovince St. Preux with that, wishy-washy record, jumping from heavyweight to light heavyweight, It's clearly playing a role in the opening line, but then people are coming to their senses now and being like, wait a minute, what? What? Okay, let's even this out a little bit. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, agreed. So stay tuned for that one. As usual, hit that subscribe button. It's
Please
below.
do.
We need you to hit that bell button. Our information is there, Instagram, Twitter. Our picks go up there closer to the fight, so stay tuned for that. Anything else you need to plug there, Siraj?
Yeah, one thing I want to quickly touch on, we've been really happy with the feedback that we've gotten on the MMA stuff. We did find that kind of our own Kaizen account was getting a bit convoluted there because we're putting so much effort and having so much fun doing this that we thought, what? This is becoming our bread and butter. It's the one thing that we're consistently doing every week for you guys. So let's go ahead and make our own MMA page. So right now, we do have pretty much a brand new account that's been set up within the last week or so. The Kaizen MMA, go check it out. If you love the sport, if you love us, by all means, all of our picks, some clips of the show will be on there. But YouTube, you want the full show, or last minute, you want to check out some fighters before you make your picks for Friday, Saturday, we'll have the individual clips up by then. So less than 3-4 minutes for you to analyze your fighter and get that pick in.
Perfect. That was fun, Siraj. Always a pleasure, man. Yeah, we'll see you soon.
I'm really excited, man. We'll talk soon. Probably before Saturday.
Take care, brother.
Easy, man.